What's up, guys, and welcome back to Book Up Entertainment. So, Floyd Shivambu has not been sticking to, to his own words, to what he actually says out there. I remember, this famous podcast where Floyd Shivambu was interviewed by Shivambu, and he was saying, that this kind of politics, of talking about more of like body shaming people, calling other politicians names, it's so unnecessary, so childish, And Floyd was showing that, the MK is so mature that we don't even do that. And I myself, I'm like one of the proponents and leaders of not shaming others. But it turns out, that if you read this letter that he wrote when he just left the EFF, he is not sticking to his own principles. So there's this letter, that he wrote when he left the EFF. And that letter is very clear, and it says, there's this specific part which says, I will not do or say anything that compromises the integrity of an organization that we collectively founded. That first statement is very important and very critical because it's saying that Floyd is saying himself that I am not going to say anything that compromises the integrity of the EFF. But looking at now and what Floyd has been saying, attacking the EFF left, right, and center, and calling the EFF a cult, that in itself is something that compromises the integrity of the EFF, something that he helped found. Because why would Floyd say that? The next statement, it also says, my sincere plea is that in its reflection, the EFF, of the decision I have taken, the EFF should also avoid slander and mischaracterization of this revolutionary and disciplined decision that I've taken to not renew my membership. Another important part. So here Floyd, was sending out this plea to the EFF for them not to attack him for this decision that he has taken himself. So the EFF, I cannot say they've been attacking Floyd as such, but obviously they've been like waiting for Floyd to fall down. But to say that, the EFF has attacked Floyd, it's a little bit unfair. Because the first person who attacked the EFF, it's actually Floyd himself when he was going on these interviews with Shivambu at SABC. Those two interviews were very, very huge. And another interesting part on this letter, there's this section which says, you are my brother and comrade, and I always cherish the contributions we made in our lives during the struggle for economic emancipation. So this letter was directed to Julius Malema, and that there's this statement where you are saying, you are my brother. However, Floyd then goes to Shivambu and says, Julius Malema is not my brother. That's inconsistency right there. As much as he did not attack the EFF, but here, he is now saying, you are my brother to Julius Malema. It doesn't make much sense, for Floyd Shivambu to be twisting and turning like that. So on social media, other people were arguing, and saying you never reciprocated this stance. This was supposed to be a two-way thing, He was supposed to not tarnish the EFF, and the EFF in itself was not supposed to tarnish him. But whether the EFF, attacked Floyd or not, it's debatable. That one is very, very debatable. The thing that I would love to look at, obviously, is Floyd in itself, in himself and his principles. He was supposed, to act kind of mature, based on what he was saying in those interviews. Because you cannot return fire with fire, it doesn't make sense. And right now it's Floyd, who is just going all out, attacking the EFF. Right now it seems as if there is something that he's looking for in continuously going at the EFF. So this is the letter that was written by Floyd Shivambu and sent to Julius Malema. This is the letter that made Julius Malema to drive all the way, from his home in Limpopo to rush to see Floyd, because that decision that he had taken, it came as a shock to Julius. So what can we expect, going forward? We are going to expect, a lot of back and forth between between the EFF and Floyd Shivambu. This fight, is never going to end, because Floyd has like declared war, with the EFF, as he has labeled them, this very, very serious word of a cult. It's something very, very serious. And the EFF obviously will be going all out there to try and prove that this is not who we are. And I've seen, there's this issue where the EFF was saying, what, of all the official t-shirts out there, it is only us who do not have the face of Julius Malema on our t-shirts. And it's true, it's definitely true, because the MK, they have Jacob Zuma's face, the ANC had Ramaphosa's face, but Julius Malema's face is not even there on the official t-shirts themselves. And Floyd, they've also been saying, look at your letter, where Floyd was just calling for this media a press conference whereby they are going to be announcing, the leaders of the consultative process. Floyd Shivambu's face was there on the letter. So the EFF was saying, what are you talking about, Floyd? We are not who you are saying you are. Where are you getting all of this thing that you're talking about? And it seems to be working for Floyd, because he's getting all the attention that he is seeking, whether positive or negative. It's working all out, for Floyd, because that is what he wants. Because if there is something very, very difficult to get, it's attention. And Floyd is doing everything that he can to get that attention, whether positive or negative. He is throwing everything out there to get that attention. So this is Floyd Shivambu. I'll catch you guys in the next one.